Welcome back to the Time Freedom Podcast, where you can learn how to rethink your work and your money to create a life you love right now. Join us for insights to help you find meaningful freedom so you can choose how and when and with whom you work for as long as you want. Here are your hosts, me, Brian Harriet, and Kirby Dennison.
Welcome back to the Time Freedom Podcast. This is our final episode of Season 2. I cannot believe this is number 20. Now we're 40 in.
Wow.
It seems like we just started.
It really does. Yeah, it's crazy. Like they say that you get good at something when you do it 20 times. I don't know if that means we're good at this now. I think I remember when we started this season and we decided we were going to bring on guests that we would have a completely different format and we would have to completely relearn how to do this, which hopefully we did okay.
Yes, I think we did. I think we did pretty good.
So this last episode will not have an interview. It is actually just an opportunity for us to catch up and catch you up as listeners on this thing. I was thinking about, so here's what I think we should talk about. Feel free to give me your thoughts, but I think we should talk about what we've been doing related to everything in terms of developing this Time Freedom brand. And obviously the book is a big piece of it, but there's other things like speaking and what we're going to do with social. I just think it would be interesting if anyone listening is going through a midlife transition / crisis. I don't know. And you're interested in moving into something new. That could perhaps be a little bit helpful. And then want to spend some time on describing what we think season 3 of the podcast could look like and invite listeners to let us know what they think. And if there's anything specific that they would like to hear from us, I think that would be cool. And at the end, hopefully we'll have some cool things to announce throughout. But there's one thing I want to share at the end, which I think will be pretty fun. Yes. How does that sound?
And if you already have ideas for season 3, you can go ahead and email us at either brian@timefreedom.life or kirby@timefreedom.life.
Which is our first announcement. Do you want to share?
Yes, sure. So the first announcement is that I have stepped into the brand fully with Brian. Not that I was like half in already, but I am officially a team member with Brian, and we have a lot of good things coming.
Yes, it's great. And so as you all know, I love Kirby and I love what she does, everything she does for me and for Time Freedom and everything associated with that. And so as we were talking about what this looked like going forward, we thought, you should just join me as a full-time employee. Not that you should not continue developing your own business, which she is continuing to do in the coaching that she's talked about in the various episodes, but I think she can do both. She's extremely capable, efficient, talented, and successful. So
thank you. Yeah, that kind of steps right into like catching up to what we've been doing. So I am fortunate enough that I am full-time with you and able to build mine on the other side. So that is probably the biggest update, is that I will also be able to do my coaching within our community as we continue to build that out. And that's just really an honor. So thank you.
You're welcome. And we'll talk more about the community in just a little bit. What's going on personally in your life? I know summer on us here.
Yeah, and we haven't given a ton of updates, I guess, throughout the season because we did a lot of what people don't know about us.
Right.
So we're getting ready for this last week of school. We'll be done on Friday, and we will step fully like 2 feet in, jumping off the cliff, to baseball, t-ball, gymnastics, all things running around with the kids. So
inside baseball, my mom listens to our podcast every Wednesday morning when she drives into her Kiwanis meeting, the local club. And she loves the one thing that few people know about you so much that she's been introducing it into her club meetings, which I think is really, really funny.
That's so fun.
And so my personal update is I'm going to be seeing my mom and my dad and my sister because my oldest niece, Audrey, graduates from high school, oh my gosh, next week or this week. And so I'm heading down there. And so that'll be a lot of fun going to Keller, Texas. Do you know who famous is from Keller, Texas?
Helen Keller?
No. Oh, that's a good guess. I love it. Yes, let's say that. Don't fact check that, anybody, please. But the person I was thinking of was Kelly Clarkson, is from Keller, Texas.
I did not know that.
She, of course, for listeners who don't know, is from American Idol. Mm-hmm. She was from American Idol.
She was the first. No, Carrie Underwood might have been the first.
No. Kelly Clarkson was the first.
Kelly. Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, both of them came, and it was ages ago.
And then have you seen the 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
Virgin when Steve Carell gets his chest hair
Yeah.
waxed and he yells, Kelly Clarkson.
Oh,
Oh, I know Kelly
yes. I
Clarkson.
kinda
Yes,
forgot about that.
yeah, that's a good scene. So, all right. So, what should we start with? How about the book itself? So,
Yeah,
we're
let's
recording
do
this
that.
on May 19th, and it's going to come out, I think, June 2nd, right? So, it's not
Mhm.
too far or distant from when it's coming out. But as far as writing the book goes, I'm in like, believe it or not, I don't actually have a complete draft yet. Like the very last, I would say like the 26th version of edits where we find the tiny little errors, and they're tiny, have been submitted back, and it'll have to be finished because the book goes to print on June 5th. And I'm actually in the process of
Mm.
deciding how many to print in the first run. And I think I'm going to err on the side of more than I think I need, just because it will force me to do even more work to make sure that we get it out there and sold. So that's kind of where we're at on that. And you notice if you're watching this on YouTube, but we like to make this joke, but it's true. If you're one of the 5 people that watch us on YouTube, you'll see a copy of the book in the back by Kirby, but that's an advanced reader copy. It's one of the copies that you use to find some of these errors. But yeah, so that's done. And then also I did the audiobook read. And so for those that have pre-ordered the book, and a bunch have, thank you. The version of the audiobook that I sent was one that I just recorded myself. Well, now I actually have the official one with all of my ums and mistakes bleeped out. And we're really excited about that. And one thing that we did with the audiobook that I think is kind of cool is at the end, as a bonus feature, I did like a 5, 6, 7, 8 minute interview with Claire. And that idea, someone actually said, you should bring Claire on the podcast. And so I think
Oh.
that's one idea of something, not she would not want to do this consistently. However, I think I could probably convince her to come on for an episode or two just to talk about her story and some things, which we might do in season 3.
I mean, she has been practicing her podcast recording skills.
Yes, she has been. She has been on this other podcast that nobody knows about and nobody ever will. But what we've been having a lot of fun with.
Yeah. So tell us about, like, the recording process behind your audiobook.
Okay, the recording process was so interesting. You get so much, this whole process of writing a book, recording an audiobook, everything. You talk to so many people that have done it, and you get a lot of advice, but sometimes the advice you get contradicts. What I ended up doing, instead of going to a studio and recording and video recording my audiobook and everything associated with that, I just recorded it in my closet with a producer who was on the other end. And so you're in there with all your clothes. And, of course, there was a dog barking outside that I had to go knock on their door and say, could you please quiet your dog? Like literally all that stuff happened because they could hear it in the background. But at the end of the day, we got through it. And then you get the recording back and you have to listen to it all the way through, which I did. And I found about 60 things that we had to
Oh.
re-record. The two interesting ones. One is I said time freedom formula a couple times, which made me sound like I had been drinking. So I had to record those. And then the other ones is sometimes halfway through, you just in the background, you'd hear this. And I'm like, what is that? And then I remembered
Were you
that I didn't want to eat and drink a lot before the recording because you didn't want to like burp or whatever while you're doing it. But so instead, my stomach was growling. And I remember because the guy was like, what was that? The other, and he caught a few of them, but they were only after the original ones that happened that he probably was like, that will be fine. Well, they weren't fine. I heard them. So, but anyway, if you listen really carefully when you buy the audiobook, everybody, if you hear it was one that wasn't caught.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. That is too funny.
Yeah.
It's amazing that your microphone, maybe because you're so close to your microphone too, like as you're recording, that it would pick up things like that.
Yep. All those things happen. Oh, and one other thing that sometimes there's certain types of errors that they'll let you fix, and then some are just like not in the contract. Like if you go through and you're like, I just don't really like that whole section. I want to re-record it. They're like, sorry, that's what it is. If there's mistakes in it, of course you can change it. But one of the things I noticed was my Wisconsin accent coming out on certain words. the one word that I just kept hearing it was when you craft a job that you really like.
Oh
And I
god.
couldn't go back through and change 30 ways in which I said job. But there were a couple other, but that was the one that really stood out. So please ignore that when you hear the audiobook.
Oh, that's
Unless you're from
funny.
Wisconsin and you're proud of it.
There you go. You better be proud of it. Well, and I think that's so cool too that you have like your tone, your voice, and not just so many are somebody else reading the book or AI anymore. And so it does make it real life, and people are going to get to know you and your story just on a deeper level and build that rapport faster.
It's very, very important. Everything that I have read, that was consistent advice, is that especially if you
Mhm.
have a book that weaves personal stories in with the frameworks and the lessons, you need to read it
Mhm.
because people want to hear what it sounds like, which is a lot,
Yeah, and your emotion behind it and not just some monotone
or AI
male
generated
or female.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I tried to do with, you're supposed to make the audiobook just a little bit different so people are incented to buy the written version and the audiobook. And so at the end of each chapter, I added a little 3-4 minute section. It's actually about 3 minutes now that I think back. Not that that matters, but just a kind of ad libbed insights about that chapter or particular parts within the chapter that are very interesting to people and from early readers and some backstory. So I did that, and I added the Clarion review at the end. Oh, and also I am including the bonus chapter, the one on fast follow investing. We talked about that in an episode in season 1, directly in the audiobook. So it's right there at the end as well. So the audiobook is chock full of way more
Okay.
than could even be printed in the regular book.
Mhm.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot in the audiobook.
Just so much value there. And what a great way to close the book writing process is being able to tell it in your own voice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So what else? I'm just thinking about the stomach growling. Kinda
I mean, I guess it fits with everything we've
funny.
done too, because we have had a dog snoring on an
Did
episode.
we tell that story on air? We did. We did.
We did, yeah. I can't remember which episode. It just came out actually maybe a couple weeks ago. So go
Leela
back and
Fever's
listen.
episode, we talked about the dog that was snoring, and I don't want to say whose it was because I can't quite remember, but it was funny. One other thing that we're kind of, I know I'm excited about with all of our guests that we had, and we had 19 guests and a couple
Mhm,
double ups, so we had
mhm.
21 people. Dr. Seema Desai, one of our guests, said, "Hey, it would be cool if all of the guests had a chance to network with each other." And I thought, dang, that's a really cool idea. And so actually after that we're recording, but before this comes out, we are going to actually pull the group of guests together and just do a quick networking thing and see if, everyone obviously is connected through the idea of either they're in pursuit of or living with time freedom. So there may be
Right.
other things in common as well. And hopefully we can make some connections there too, which is great.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where that grows just as everyone starts connecting next week.
Oh, hey, one thing I also just thought about, which I wanted to share, and then maybe we can have you read one, is we have had the opportunity to have some early readers now. Not early readers in terms of those that I've gone out and asked for help from so that I could make the book better. But once the book has been out, I've gotten on a few decent sized podcasts where people have actually found the book, gone out, pre-ordered it, and then gotten the free audiobook. And then the coolest thing
Mhm.
ever, and I'm telling you, if you ever like a book, do this for the author, is the reader emailed me. And oh my gosh, this is a great feeling. And so if there's ever a book you like, find the author's email address and email them because it will make their day. So what I wanted to do is just read a couple of the emails that we got
Cool.
that talk about the book. So would you read one of them? It just makes me feel so good. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I feel good.
Yes, and if you haven't pre-ordered the book, then you can go to timefreedombook.com, and then there's also the space where you can just put in the code podcast and get the audiobook for free now so that you
Right
can
away.
also listen, and then you can email Brian
And then you can email me and tell you. I guess you can tell me what didn't work too, but I also like to hear
Yes,
what
yeah,
worked.
so we can improve, right? So the first email came from Audrey, and she said, I also think it's really cool that you're sharing the journey along the way because that counts just as much as the end result, if not more. As for hers, I left Epic last October and am now living and working in Merida?
You can say it. I don't know.
Merida.
Say it with your
Merida, Mexico.
Spanish accent.
Well, my husband does say it that I roll my R's. I don't think I do.
Merida.
So
No, I have no idea.
so she is working in Mexico. I came down here for a marketing internship and ended up dancing in Swan Lake and tomorrow in Giselle with the local ballet
Isn't
company.
that
It's
cool?
been a whirlwind in the best way, and it feels like one opportunity leads to another.
I just so when I get this email, I think when I came out of school, I just did the corporate job and then I did it forever. I do know more about Audrey, and she lived in Sevilla, Spain, and then she came back to the States and now she's in Mexico and she's dancing in the Mexican ballet. I mean, how cool is that? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I think that's great. Thank you
And
for
just
sharing that one.
yes, and just proof that you can start earlier than you think.
Yes, yes, you can. You don't have to wait and live time freedom. Wait until you're in your 40s. You can do it much sooner.
Should we read one more before
Sure,
we move on to the next update?
absolutely.
All right. So the next one is 40, and this came in from Matthew, and it says, I am 40 years old. I've been working part time for several years, around 15 hours per week, teleworking on my own terms in the morning most of the time as a professor and consultant. In the afternoon, I like to play outdoor sports and help different local organizations with various occasional projects. In the summer, I travel with my spouse and the children. We usually leave around 1 month. We rent out the house in a place we want to visit, most of the time in the mountains, by a lake or the sea. And this place changes every year. This formula works well for us, and we plan to increase the number of months we spend traveling in a few years as we have more time and money through our investments. Thank you again, and I wish you great success with your project. Best regards from Canada.
I love it. I don't there needs to be more and more examples like this of
Uh-huh.
people living in this way. Thank you. That was great. Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Now
And
again, like he
congratulations
was
for
doing
being international.
international was way cool, and it's not as though, he read the book and then did all that stuff. He was doing it already, but, these books find people who value this sort of thing, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just a way to be able to share how they did it with somebody else of like, this isn't just me
Yeah.
out there. So, should we talk about the podcast? What is season 3?
Yes. So let's talk about what we're gonna do next season. And so this is where we want listener feedback. But the idea for season 3 for the podcast is, well, one, we're gonna do whatever seems to be interesting and important. That's goal one. So if we want to bring Claire on for an episode, we can bring Claire on for an episode. But I think the overarching theme that we want to pursue for season 3 is the idea of getting service of the listener a little bit more into the details about how you would actually achieve time freedom as a certain type of person with a certain type of goal. So I was thinking about this morning on the elliptical, that if we took an individual from season 2, say just released today was Dr. Sam Chenkin. She's 31 years old, just starting out her business. If you could take that profile, and what we could do is a series of 3 episodes like around this type of person, assuming that we have listeners that fall into this category, and then spend the 3 episodes, one setting up the scenario, talking about goals, current situation. Episode 2, actually going in to the time freedom calculator, mapping out what we think would work for when time freedom is possible, and then making adjustments to determine when. And, also offering up that recording to help people with the time freedom calculator, because we really haven't gone much into the calculator. And then in the
Mm-mm.
3rd episode of the series, talk about a key driver, because what happens with everyone that goes through pursuit of time freedom is there does usually end up to be one key driver. If it's how you design your lifestyle, how you design your money, or how you design your business, and go a little bit deeper into that particular lesson for that individual, and then also provide some next steps. So if you identify with that profile, you'll have a 3-series episode that you can really go deep into. Now, the key question is, what are these profiles? I definitely want them to be varied. And so I have ideas. And actually, I think let's lay them out here now. And then if you want to email me at brian@timefreedom.life or kirby@timefreedom.life and tell me, yes, make sure you do this one and do this one first, or have you thought about this one? Tell us these. So these are the 6 that I thought of. And, 6 times 3 is 18 episodes. And then you throw one Claire episode in there. And then maybe there's another episode that we just don't even know what we're going to do yet. But the 6 different side hustles are, the first one is do it yourself money person. This is probably the person who's interested in early retirement or early financial freedom or scenarios like this, and they're individuals that want to or have done saving and really have a focus on the saving and the investing part of the formula here with Time Freedom. So that was the first. And, to be clear, these are the podcasts that I've gotten on most recently. So I'm quite familiar with this profile of person because it was also me growing up. And so that's one. The other one is we'll call him the side hustle to entrepreneur. And this is the Kirby profile. So do you want to talk about your profile a little bit?
Yeah. So this is really encompasses the primarily moms, and also I wouldn't limit it to just that. Coming from, you're in corporate typically and you're just looking for a little something extra because there's something more. Or also you want to be home with your kids or your family or XYZ. And what can you do to fill some of that financial gap, maybe? And just also have you something to give you an identity outside of just being a mom.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of the book because it was written for a wide variety of readers and not just this typical,
Sure.
young man who wants flexibility, because there's a lot of other books out there for that. And this would be a good test of that to see how applicable these frameworks are for this type of person.
And a little like backstory just for the listeners out there is, Brian, you already know this, but I did the side hustle thing of being a Beachbody coach and in college, even Mary Kay. And then I've always kind of had that side hustle until I was ready to launch my business 2 years ago. So,
Yeah. And so how do you move from that just
uh,
gig work kind of just to make some money to actually building something that doesn't have to be scaled to $100 million business or anything, but it can be something that you can design your life around?
yeah, absolutely.
The third scenario is also kind of describes me as well. It's almost like a combination of the first two, but I call it the career transitionist, which is a weird phrase, but this is the middle career person who has been heads down for 20 years, looks up at age 43. Am I describing myself? I don't know. And says, wow, I've been working hard. I had these big goals of these high level, C-level jobs that was supposed to get. Is it going to happen for me? I don't know. Do I want to continue living my life in this way for another 20 years? My goal here is, of course, if you're questioning that and you don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't just, grin and bear it, as my dad would say. Don't just grin and bear it, but actually make a change. And so this person actually does have retirement savings, but it's all of their savings is in retirement. So they don't actually have a lot of money that they can use, right, from taxable accounts. So there's all these specific kind of characteristics of these different models that we want to talk about as individuals. So that's the third one that I think also hits a lot. And the book is really written for that person too, because this is somebody that has developed some savings, would never think to possibly pull a little bit of their retirement money, but I will try to convince you that it's okay, especially if it can make you and help you design a life that you want to live. And we would dive into that third one. The fourth one is the lifestyle person. This is what I'm trying to become more of, but it's the lifestyle kind of minimizer person, minimalist, someone that has realized that life is about life. Life is not about work. And maybe you don't even make that much money, which is fine because you've chosen to do careers that there's just a job because you want to live life. Like how could you make time freedom work for you? I mean, for one, you have a lot of things going for you in that you understand the principles and the philosophy behind this. Now it's just how do you figure out the money situation, and it can be done. Can be done. Do you know any of those people, Kirby?
Yeah, I do
In
actually.
Colorado, I feel like there'd be a lot of those people. Maybe in Boulder.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. without saying it politically correct, we call those hippies.
That's a
And
native word that
also,
you
though, I mean, I think there's so many more people leaning into that lifestyle. And I was just having a conversation with somebody on Sunday, actually, around that same thing. It's like you can either leave your children, assuming you have children,
Mhm.
like what legacy do you want to leave? You can either leave wealth or you can leave knowledge. And how does that minimalist style of like living more and not just leaving money tied to that for them, and those experiences that they're going to live with lifestyle freedom.
Love it. The fifth one that I was thinking about was somebody coming out of school. I guess just somebody newer.
Mhm.
This is your Gen Zs and younger. This is an interesting one for me because I don't know where I've completely come down on this. I sometimes feel like you still need to go out and develop skills, and probably the best place to do that is in an employed situation. But how do you navigate that in the right way so that you're then ready to pursue time freedom when the time is right? So that's the
Mhm.
fifth avatar. Is that what you call it?
Avatar.
That,
Yeah.
like, the type of person. And then the sixth one is actually somebody that's closer to retirement. You're 5 years out. I actually just met a person like this last week. You're 5 years out, 4 years out, you get let go from work, and you're like, "Oh gosh, I don't wanna have to go find a job for 4 more years." What does that
Mhm.
look like? How could that be? Is there a way to redesign? And I'm guessing most of the time the answer is yes. If you've worked this long and you've saved some money, there is a way to figure out a way to get that time freedom without having to go back to work for the last 3, 4, 5 years of your career. Yeah. So those are the ones I'm very curious to hear from listeners if those meet you where you're at? And do you
Mhm.
see yourself in any of those avatars? And if not, please let us know so that we can
Mhm.
approach our series from your angle so that we can be most helpful.
And I would just encourage people to like even I mean, obviously we haven't planned out like what order things are going to be happening in and just
Mhm.
because you don't necessarily identify that one, still listen in to I mean, just to hear other opportunities and ways that you can be implementing this and I think this is a great time to share one other story of somebody that does fall into this
Oh,
category, and that's Valerie. And she said that she listened to the first 3 chapters already on her 90-minute commute home, and she was so happy to hear that there's a plan for people like her. I love the way that your book reads like a story. It's so, so relieving to finally hear someone say that it's okay to work with what you have and not to fit into the perfect one size fits all financial independence mold with a superhero account and perfect Roth account, etc. I only woke up to this financial freedom journey in the past couple years at 46 years old after I'd already saved a decent in all the wrong places. So she's felt very trapped. But to hear stories of others who have also done what you're describing is life altering for her family. I've already told my husband this is our weekend date night to listen to the book together. I'm intending to gift a copy to my sister who's a similar journey herself, and it will mean so much to her to hear too. Please keep up the meaningful work because people need to hear this. Thank you, Valerie.
well, I like that one too. Just love to hear the stories. It's so great. Thanks for reading that one.
Yeah. So, where do we go from here? We can talk about either what we're focusing in more on, I think would be a good place for marketing for as our 5 YouTubers know. We are going to start expanding more into the YouTube and LinkedIn and less focus on the others. So for the listeners out there, be sure to tap into I can't remember our YouTube Time Freedom Life,
Yep.
I
Time
think.
Freedom Life at Time Freedom Life.
And then also Brian's LinkedIn, and then come find me minus Kirby Dennison on LinkedIn. And I will also be sharing both my story and also like through the time freedom journey as we build out this brand.
We are really learning social media. I am really learning social media. We dove in and have been at this for 6-ish months or so, I would say. And we've
Mhm.
gone all out across all of the different platforms to see what's working. And so we're going to try to pull back and focus and be more strategic about how we put our efforts forward because it's a lot of work that you do
Mhm.
that I don't even have to do. But I think we can be more strategic about it. And everyone's telling us that YouTube is the place to go because also the
Mhm.
content that you put out on YouTube is there forever. It's searchable and
Mhm.
findable, and so it makes a lot more sense to do to do.
Yeah, I actually did a one-to-one with a guy yesterday who is in AI and does a lot of the SEO, AEO, GEO apparently is a new acronym out there that beyond me. And he said that being on YouTube and the searchability through that is actually like how you can start finding people on Claude and
Oh,
ChatGPT
yeah.
and all of that. So I'm excited to see where our direction goes there. I know nothing about YouTube, clearly. Look at my thumbnails.
I just use it to watch that my best hack. Oh, here's a real hack for people. If you like your local team, but you also like feel like it's a waste of time to spend 3 hours or whatever watching a football game or something, just don't watch it. And then if they win, go watch the 10-minute YouTube summary of it. It's really, you get all the
Oh.
highlights and you don't waste your day. Ta-da, there's my hack. And you don't have to watch it
Ta-da.
and you don't have to watch it when they lose. You only
Yeah, that's fair.
win-win-win.
I don't know. I get too much in well, it depends on the sport, but I get into that pretty easily.
Yeah.
Football, like all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Well, it's fun if it's like more than just I'm going to watch the team and see if they win. Like if it's the
Yeah.
event and if you go, I mean, if you go to it, of course, too.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And then the kind of last little update we have is Brian has been on stages
Oh, yes.
just recently starting his speaking career. So, Brian, how did it
Do you
go?
remember at the beginning when I said when you do something 20 times, you get really good at it? And then just, keep in mind that when you do it the first time, it's not as always as great as you think it might be. So my update is that yes, I was able to give my keynote speech after 4 months of dedicated practice. Lots of practice, lots of coaching, lots of everything. And I gave it that last Friday and I started really well. And then if you've ever given a keynote or a speech and you get inside your head, all of a sudden you go blank, which I did, which I recovered from, and I finished, and everything was all fine and everyone was great. And I mentioned that it was my first speech at the end to hopefully cover it up a little bit. But I think the reason I share this is that everything we do, especially as we transition into new skills and develop new things, it takes time, it takes work, and it takes time. And when you see someone that is so awesome, it's because they've done it over 100 times. And I wanted to make sure that I shared with everyone that, boy, you can really suck at something, even with a lot of practice, but that I will not be deterred. And I am more committed than ever because it was fun. It was fun. Despite that, the word I used to describe the experience was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable. It was fun to share the stories and people laughed. I just have to figure out the mental game and keep
Definitely.
moving through. So that's my experience so far. But I have others lined up for the rest of the year, and so I'm excited to keep moving forward in that direction.
We're excited to watch you grow and we're cheering for you.
Thank you.
So, I guess to wrap up, we are also launching a community
Yes.
in
Yes.
October.
Yes, this is big.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. So this is how I've noticed things work great in that if you read a book and it's good, a lot of people can take it and run with it. I don't know if it's a lot or a little, but some people can. And I've done that with a lot of books. Like I've implemented strategies from the book. Sometimes, though, especially when you're dealing with a big change, if you're doing something small and you need to make an adjustment, you don't need support. But sometimes when you're making a big change, life change, working with how you structure your money, figuring out how you structure how you do your work in your lifestyle business, sometimes you need more support. And the way that Kirby and I have chosen to further support readers of the book is through I don't know what you call it. We're calling it the Time Freedom Community, but it acts almost like a bit of a group coaching and membership as well, because how we will be structuring this is starting in October. So the book comes out September 15th. You spend 2 weeks reading it. If you're interested then in working more with us, you can join on a month by month into the community where we'll meet probably on average 3 times per month because there's always some holiday or some scheduling issue. But if you were to join us in the community for 6 months, you'd be able to meet with us in a group setting over 18 times such that we can help you in the development of your time freedom plan. Everything from understanding your time freedom formula to gathering your numbers, to putting your numbers in the calculator, to then going, all right, this is now what I need to make starting in 3 years. What's my next step? And give you the support that you need along the way. I'm just very excited for this. I think it'll be a way to help people achieve this goal And so we are building out what that looks like now, how to do that. Timefreedom.life/community will be where you go. Hopefully that'll be ready by the time we go live with this episode. But if it's not, this episode will be around forever. That's where you can find it. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add this, Kirby. I mean, have you been part of communities, group coaching? Like, what's your
Mhm.
take on something like this?
Yeah, I think it's a really great way to just bring the questions that you are having. And by having both of us there, then I'll be offering, business coaching side, and then Brian has the whole time freedom formula. That goes with the
I've heard
time
of
freedom
them.
formula. And so the time freedom formula, and also, being able to, how do we bring that whole thing together, and just have a deeper support. And there's whatever questions you have, there's no dumb question in this. Like,
Yeah.
each of us have our own goals and our own lives, and how does that come together?
And when I did my first group coaching programs, I remember thinking, God, I wish I could access this person one-on-one. But
Mhm.
what I found was I was able to get all my questions answered in a group coaching setting. But also the added benefit was the other people were pursuing similar challenges and doing things in unique ways. And then I stole I stole their idea, or I took what they, the answer to their question. And not even that, but then I've developed friendships and networking relationships with other people in the group programs with. And so
Mhm.
there is huge benefit, I believe, to group settings like that. And so that's what we want to develop.
Yeah, one of the communities I'm in actually is a lot of that. And, we're a very tight-knit community, and people will come to the calls even if they have no questions, just to hear what other people have, to
Yeah.
open their minds for the next thing, and just see how other people are doing it and building, their life and their business and whatever. And so highly, highly encourage that for anyone coming. And that leaves us with our special offer.
Yes. So we're still finalizing like pricing and all of this sort of thing. But what we're excited to have over the summer. So this is, of course, in conjunction with the launch of the book, which is September 15th. But from June 15th to August 15th, so for 60 days, we have what I'm calling the Get More, Give More Time Freedom offer. And it's, or the summertime offer, which is, as everybody knows, my favorite time of year. What we're offering to you is hopefully something that's it's like a whole bunch of stuff. And where you can go to access this is timefreedom.life/summer offer. Summer offer. And here's what it is we're going to offer 6 months in our Time Freedom community. We're going to offer 25 books. Now, what the heck are you going to do with 25 books? It depends on who you are. You're going to take one that's signed as like an original book, and then you're going to figure out what you want to do with the other 24. If you're a coach or an advisor, or you have clients that could use something like this, you can share it with them. Or you can just say, hey, Brian and Kirby, I don't know what to do with the rest of these books. And we will, on your behalf, put those books in the hands of the ideal readers who can also help. And hopefully then email me about how they read the book and made some significant changes in their life. Another thing that's included is if you are a coach, I will come and do a 1-hour webinar for you with your clients to help you. Maybe you're a CPA or a financial advisor or something like that. And what am I missing?
The biggest piece of
The
it.
biggest piece of all is that most of the money on the offer goes to buying the books. Basically, the rest of it is just service that I'm providing to you. The money that I make on a book, which is not like the full price of the book, but what equates to about $100 in this situation, I'm going to be donating to Donate Life America, which is the charity that supports registerme.org, which is where you sign up to be an organ and tissue donor, and supports donor families. And if you know me, you know how I feel about organ and tissue donation, considering how it saved Claire's life many years ago and really put us on this journey of trying to figure out, do we live for the now? Do we live for the future? Which is this kind of internal battle that we all suffer with in our pursuit of what, ultimately ended up being called time freedom. For all of those things, the books and the 6 months in the community and the donation in your name, all of that We have a price tag of $495. And so if that is something that you're interested in, please, please, please support us and go to timefreedom.life/summer offer. This is something that's kind of available now. And if you join the community later, it'll be much more than that. And yeah, it's a once in the book lifetime offer.
Yeah. Yeah. And how special to be able to donate all of your proceeds to such a great charity, and organization, because I mean, obviously, without it,
Yep,
Claire's
exactly.
story would be much different. And also, I mean, I'm sure each and every one of us can think of somebody who's received some sort of a donation, whether it's, like you said, tissue, organs, and also even just a blood drive, like
Absolutely.
blood donation. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, and we're just so thankful for our audience too. And I can't believe, is the end of season 2. We are going to come back. We're going to take a little break, just like we did between season 1 and season 2, but not extremely long. July 14th, we will be back with season 3. So keep us subscribed on your podcast player. But we'll be back July 14th, and we'll kick off season 3 by diving deep into the different personas and different avatars of the people that we want to help. We're very excited to help you find and achieve time freedom for yourselves.
Have a great summer.
Have a great summer. And again, thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving us a review. And you can find everything about us that you want to find out at timefreedom.life. Thank you so much. Have a good start to your summer, and we'll see you midsummer.